Hello and welcome to the Core Advantage podcast. My name's Darren McInnes.
And I'm Jacob Tober.
On the podcast, we talk about all things sports science, strength and conditioning, and athletic development.
You'll find links, show notes, and references in the podcast details and also on our website.
Hi everyone, how you doing? So I made a terrible rookie mistake and left my little iPhone stand at home.
Damn.
Yeah, but I'm feeling pretty happy with my 2 5-kilo dumbbells with the cord running down through, plates rather, and one dumbbell holding it back. So,
well, Dom, you just got to turn it around and show us what you're talking about. Lay, we are opening when the government lets us. By the way, we're ready. We're getting everything in place, sanitization and cleaning and all that kind of stuff.
Can you see that, Jacob?
Yeah, that's nice, Darren. Clever.
I thought you'd like it.
Clever. Yeah, so we'll be open lay when we're allowed, basically, and it just depends what sort of categorization we fall into, what the restrictions are going to be like, all that kind of stuff.
We're hoping we can get a petition from our most important college-bound athletes that say, I need Core Advantage to get open so I can get ready to go to America. So, Lay, we're looking at you for that as well.
Help us out. College is actually an interesting topic. What's going to happen there? That's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing, isn't it? I don't know. Sorry. And would you, like, if college said, "Hey, we're on," would you want to go at the moment, or would you wait a little while? Very, very interesting times. I think, America, you want to wait and let that fire burn out. That is not getting better anytime soon. It's a fascinating case study into a dysfunctional leadership where they just have no plan. Like Trump's just got, I'll just blame China. It's so interesting. Anyway, we'll wait and let that all play out. I'm pretty happy.
If our college basketballers don't go overseas, we're going to have a really strong NBL 1.
Yeah.
When that opens back up, or even NBL and WNBL, if they all don't go back up, they just make their own team. The college wannabes, and they just come out and they just run fast breaks on everyone all day.
Yeah, so very interesting. Yeah, so I think we are reasonably confident we'll have some form of sport in a pro level by late spring. You would think it's probably a reasonably safe bet here.
Well, rugby is going to start May 28th. They set that date a couple of weeks ago, and they haven't budged on it yet. So. Rugby says that, and then AFL is kind of hurrying up to try and catch up to them. So we'll see.
Well, I mean, the rugby thing's. I don't want to talk out of school too much because I'm not a rugby expert, but I think sometimes the urgency to get back into playing sport and is about getting money ticking over again. And so rugby's kind of like, well, we're going to die if we don't do this. Let's get going. Whereas AFL is in a little bit of a better position where they can be a little more circumspect about it. So it would be very interesting to see. I'm still very curious to see how that plays out. For our people, though, T-minus 3 weeks. If it was 4 weeks last week, you need to prepare as though we're starting in 3 weeks, be getting that running in and be getting going. And we'll have some very exciting news about our extra additions to support your return to play as well. We have a whole new area of our gym that we're developing, some new equipment and so forth. So we are going to be smashing you guys to get you ready. You're going to be well and truly good to go. So I don't want to reveal too much more than that, but things are happening as we speak, and it's very exciting. So we want to hit the ground running in the most literal sense possible.
Very cool. Right. Should we kick off the episode? Should we get started?
Kick off there. Enough preamble.
Yeah, nice. Just a little warm up. Are you recording everything on your end? I'm good on my end.
So I have the audio coming through to the computer. I will do a backup audio to the phone. I didn't preset that because it had gone flat and I hadn't realised. Here we are.
Cool. And your camera's rolling?
My camera's rolling. See what Jacob has to put up with, guys. He has to double check everything. My camera's rolling. There's a red light flashing at me and I look reasonably well lit. I changed the ISO to 1600, so I think I'm good. And we're good to go. All right.
Cool.
And we are recording. Let's talk.
All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Random Thought Show. Darren, how are you going?
I'm really good.
We didn't even say hello when we started, when we jumped online.
I'm really, really good. Yeah, I've had a great day. I'm into an interesting situation in my home life at the moment where it's so difficult to homeschool the kids because everything's having to be, our kids are at home at work. My wife's just started a new job, which is a great job, and it's, she needs to be full steam ahead on that. So I'm trying to do that plus juggle work. So the only way to make it work is getting up at 4:30 every morning, because it's just the only. I get up at 4:30. I get a block of work done while everyone's asleep, and then I go to bed at 8:30 because I'm like a 10-year-old in terms of my bedtime. I'm going to bed about 6 minutes after our kids. It's kind of cool though, like that big block of time where you can just work because everyone else is still asleep. It's pretty nice. I'm liking it. I'm liking the feeling of how you feel like you've won the morning. Like you get to 10 o'clock and you're like, I have done a lot of stuff and it's only 10. I think it's the opposite. That horrible feeling where you get to like 2:45, or maybe you don't, Jacob, but listeners out there are going to know this feeling. You get to 2:45 and you don't really feel like you've achieved enough. It's like, the day's a write-off. I've wasted my day. It's kind of like the opposite of that at the moment. So that's
nice.
Good.
Winning the morning.
Yeah.
It's a powerful trick, that one.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's good.
All right. So last episode, we left off at episode 75. We talked about tryouts, if I remember correctly.
And so if you're just tuning in,
and that's kind of how we. Sorry.
If you're just tuning in, we're doing not a recap, but a revisit of the things we've talked about before, where our perspectives will change. We'll be more informed on some things. Some things will be like, no, we nailed that then, and we still believe it now. But other things where things have changed, and we want to update you, because one of our most hated things is someone will come to me and say, I really blah blah blah, and I'm like, you're actually acting on 2016 information. We're doing that differently in 2020. So it's great to keep people updated on that stuff.
Especially in a fast-paced industry that's very science-driven. The science changes, the logic changes, people come out with new novel ideas, especially things like social media. The good side of social media is people are sharing really clever ideas and you can just go, I'll take that. I'll copy a bit of that, with credit, of course. But we're picking and choosing all those good bits and then adding them and slowly evolving. And as you add new stuff, other stuff gets filtered out. So things that might have been your emphasis in your rockstar exercises 12 months ago, all of a sudden, they're bit plays and you do them from time to time, but new things come in that are, that's just a better way of achieving the same result.
Yeah, like one of our coaches will have
shift
an idea and they'll be like, why don't we do it this way? It's like, oh my God, I can't believe we didn't think of that.
Much better, exactly.
I mean, imagine if people were still adjusting the trap bar the way we adjusted it in 2009.
2014, yeah.
Where we used to wedge a little plate underneath it to lift it up and instead of just tipping the thing. Shameless plug, that feature is probably one of my favourite features out of the online mentorship as well. Because the fact that unlike a book or the average course that you buy, that you're buying whatever we knew when we made that thing, with the mentorship, as we learn new things, we actually reshoot and update our knowledge so that the mentorship is actually a bit more of an organic, growing curriculum rather than a static one. It's a dynamic curriculum. So I think that's a pretty cool thing. So the core advantage, online mentorship, get around it. I don't plug stuff directly very often, but it just seemed too good to not talk about. Go ahead, Jacob.
All right, episode 76, which is also going to be a little bit of a callback to, in the last one, Durham, you left off saying you wanted to talk a little more about shoulders. You wanted to give it a week. I knew you would have forgotten. So this is me making you a little bit embarrassed for forgetting in front of everyone. But episode 76, we talked about punching power and the idea of transferring force through the kinetic chain. So I thought that would link nicely into the shoulders. And what's more important when it comes to shoulders is the scapulothoracic joint and your thoracic and your core power and things like that.
Right. So let's talk about shoulders a little bit. In terms of my evolving perspective on shoulders, I think it's the primacy of your thoracic mobility as your base. I think we probably always thought that, but I'm even more and more convinced that if your thoracic is wrong, your scapulothoracic can't really be right. So I think people being better able to get mobility through the thoracic is we always thought it was important, but more and more it's like, well, don't even bother until you can actually get that going. Not don't even bother, but don't be surprised when you have mediocre results if you have a mediocre thoracic mobility.
Yep.
I'm probably less. I went pretty hard on the idea of chasing that thoracic rotation because that's part of its job, and we did as well. We did a lot of clocks and all those sorts of things as an underpinning thing for shoulder health. My impression from all of that work, though, was that I don't think it paid off as much as I hoped it would. I think the good old bread and butter, sagittal plane, cat camel, foam rolling, back balls, back extension, back holds, back planks, seated row. I think the theory of all the rotational stuff was great and obviously important for boxing and throwing, but just for your average garden variety, healthy thoracic, I think it's important to get a bit of it, but I reckon I was overrating the contribution it could make. What do you think these days on that stuff? Because you're taller, so you're more likely to have thoracic issues than I am.
Yeah, I do have a reasonably tight thoracic because I'm tall and I spend a bit of time at a desk and stuff like that. And I've got a puppy now as well, so I'm spending a lot of time hunched over training him and dealing with him at the ground level.
Yeah.
But I think from a mechanics of the thoracic point of view, when your thoracic is stuck in flexion and it can't adequately extend, and we're not talking about extending to hyperextension, just extending to neutral.
Yep.
If you can't successfully extend into neutral, you won't be able to rotate anyway because the facet joints will jam up too quick anyway. So a good base of extension, range of motion, mobility, and capacity will enable good rotation as a byproduct. So chasing all this rotation without having a good base of extension first is actually a bit of a cart before the horse type situation.
Yeah, I think so.
So you should really, you should really be getting after that first, I think, and then that helps.
Why weren't we as clear on that then? Was it just that we were seduced by how cool the stuff looked?
Yeah, I think we're just learning a lot of new rotational drills.
Because they're interesting, aren't they?
Because and they're very front of mind, and there's a lot of different ways to do that. And I think it's just because they became new and novel. We never dropped the extension stuff out. We treated them as equals, as opposed to I think working on that extension as aggressively as we do now, which gets us really good results.
Yeah,
and it's not to say we don't do any rotation work.
No,
we throw, we windmill, we swing, we all that kind of stuff, but it's done with a good healthy dose of the extension work first.
Yeah, it's built on that foundation. I think that it's that foundational concept. Yeah, I like it. And that's probably, and so it's the funny thing is we're talking about shoulder health, but there's that thing called the 5 whys, which is I think it's one of the Lean Six Sigma. It's one of those ways of thinking about production stuff that you do in factories and stuff. And why did the person chop their finger off? Why? He wasn't wearing his protective gloves. Why? They weren't there. Why? You're just diving to get back to the root cause of it.
Yeah, and you go back to really find out the actual true problem that you can solve. The gloves are really expensive, so they don't have enough floating around the workshop. And then you find more gloves and you put more budget towards that.
Or their gloves need to be chained to that workstation or some other, whatever it might be. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of like that 5 whys with shoulders is it just always comes back to, the dysfunction was kicked off by thoracic tightness. That caused kyphosis. That meant you're in a lengthened position. You couldn't operate well. That meant the scaps couldn't retract well. And there'll be some other problem. But if you have to trace it back, the 5 whys is going to lead you back to that. So that's your foundational thing.
Nice.
Other things, I think we're pretty much the same. Like it's use user-defined path of motion where you can.
Scaption, yep.
Scaption, just put the shoulder in a nice spot. I am just as ambivalent about barbell bench as I've ever been, or more so since we last talked about it. Because I think since we last talked about it, we had an incident in the gym where one of our athletes, they did everything perfect, but just as they were racking the bar off the rack, they had a little subluxation of the shoulder. And it was the second subluxation in 20 years, so, low stats. But it was like, the first time that happened was a long one, and it's never happened since because we all coach it way better than I did back when I was young. Someone got into an arm wrestle with a dumbbell, and instead of conceding the arm wrestle, they tried to hang on. and they dislocated their shoulder or subluxed it. And that I was disappointed, and we vowed to never have that happen again. And touch wood, it never has, because we coach it differently and we've coached our way to safety with that one. The thing that I really didn't like about the sublux with the barbell was that there wasn't an obvious mistake. It was a bit tired, and maybe there was just a bit of sort of neuromuscular uncoordination through fatigue, but it wasn't a thing you could coach the other way out of. So that's not to say never do barbell, because you know that happens, but it's another reason why I love those self-limiting for shoulders. I particularly love self-limiting exercises where you can only handle the kind of weight you can get up into position. Whereas
with more open chain as well and more freedom to move. Yeah,
I think that's that we've gone further in that direction probably.
Yeah, nice. All right,
long answer. Check it out. Sorry,
long answer. Very long answer. We can't go that long. Just a heads up, Darren. We cannot go that long on every question.
I think it's mostly your fault though, because you made me feel really embarrassed. So I had to overcompensate by giving a really long answer. Just saying.
That's all right. We're there. All right. Episode 77. Yeah. We talked about this. Will be a quick one just to roll right through. We talked about strength coach fitness standards. And I think that applies just as much now as it did then. If you are going to be in this industry, you got to be able to walk the walk. Yeah,
totally. Yeah, you have to. If you are a strength and conditioning coach, you have to exhibit strength and conditioning. You can't talk about it. You have to exhibit it, and you don't have to be incredible. You just have to be credible. So one of our coaches and dear friends, James Cheers, he could do no longer coaching with us, but still part of the Core Advantage family. James can do a standing backflip, and that's amazing. But you don't have that's cool. I'd love to be able to do them. You don't have to be able to do stuff like that, but you have to be able to chin, push up, run, jump. You have to be able to do athletic tasks to make an athlete better. There's just no two ways about it. Still astonishes me how many people come into the interview process and we warn them there's a practical component and they get freaked out when we make them do athletic tasks to show us. It's like, oh, that's your bread and butter. You should do it anyway, because if you're in this field, that should be a thing you do. But yeah, do that stuff. And have standards are be able to manipulate your body weight, so be able to do some chin-ups, some push-ups, squat a bit. You don't have to squat double body weight or anything, but if you don't have a reason to not squat around your body weight, you should be, if your body likes it, be able to do that.
Yeah, for sure. Because you got to be able to demo it's not about just it's not like a.
It's not just the principle, is it?
It's not like a filter for unfit people. You got to be able to demo. If you're going to coach and you're just going to rely on your words, you're going to struggle as a coach. You need to be able to show people. I want you to do it like this. I don't understand. Let me show you. If you can't then show them the thing you're talking about to explain with a visual thing, because people are visual learners, then you're really going to struggle, because so many people rely on that component.
You've got to be able to demo 100%. It's so important. And also what I think you get out of doing your own training is you get to make mistakes and remember the consequences of mistakes in the most visceral sense possible, because you feel them. So I pushed a little harder on my hamstring work yesterday, and I was feeling great on my run today. And I pushed pretty hard I finished my run with some 70-meter strides. And I pushed a little. I was just feeling great. It was really warm this morning and I was just having a great time. And I pushed a little harder on my strides, and I got back to the house and I bent over to take off my shoes and I just felt my hammy a little. And I was like, oh, you were just a little silly there. Just keeping your mind attuned to the fact that small changes can have significant implications. I think if you're not doing your own training, you lose that sensitivity. It's like if you're not listening to music, you're probably not going to play music as well. That's actually a weak analogy. I don't think it's a very good analogy.
No, that makes perfect sense. It does, yeah.
All right, good.
Okay, episode 78, we talked about neurotransmitters and hormones. There's a whole bunch going on there. They are still a really big deal because of science. Yeah. I don't think we need to dive into that.
Go back and listen.
If you want to know more about hormones, neurotransmitters, oxytocin, serotonin, dopamine, testosterone, all those ones, episode 78, and we also did a part 2 in episode 80 as well.
Dive back into that, yeah. And have a look at Simon Sinek's Leaders Eat Last video on YouTube, which gives a really nice kind of summary of the hormones as well. I reckon that's a good companion piece. All I would say is dive into it, but more and more I am attuned to finding ways that aligning my actions with getting a dopamine hit. So that's all I would say there, I think.
Yeah, nice.
I've just been distracted by a terrifying spectre on the recording of a metronome moving backwards and forwards. I've just hit that, so now it's stopped. So if you guys have been enduring a few minutes of metronome, I'm really sorry from my end of the audio. Hopefully that's not something that's actually in the track. It was just a thing for people to hear in GarageBand.
I haven't used GarageBand. I'm not sure.
We'll find out.
Let's hope. We'll hope. Okay, episode 79.
Imagine that.
That would be horrible. Episode 79, we talked about saunas.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, you and James talked about saunas. I was sick this week, or I was away on holiday or something.
Well, this has got a good update because you being the action-oriented, forward-thinking person that you are, you got a sauna pretty shortly after that. So how long have you been sauning now?
I think it might have even been before that.
Really?
I've had it for a while now. I've had it for a solid 2 years. So it might have been either before that or was waiting for it, because we sort of learned about the sauna stuff a little bit before this episode, did some diving into it, listened to a few other podcasts from other people like Rhonda Patrick and a few others, and then we did the episode, or you and James did the episode.
Are you on her mailing list?
No, I'm not.
Oh,
I'm not on any mailing lists.
Yeah, well played. You'll wish you're on this one, though, because she came out with about 3 weeks ago an amazing sort of companion piece to that podcast of ours, where it was just talking about all the latest research on the various ways that saunas are helpful. In particular, it was talking about the impact, the anti-inflammatory preventative impact on the lungs and COVID-19. Yeah, it was really interesting.
Could you forward me that email?
Yeah.
Write a little note for yourself, and I'll add it to the show notes as well. Some way, it might be a blog link or a web link that I can send to everyone.
Yeah.
Because we have some people that are fairly fascinated with saunas. So that'd be one to do. You're not sauning yet, are you, Durham regularly?
I am weeks away from sauning. I'm so excited. So yeah,
you're getting one?
Yeah, we're totally getting one.
Sure, tell me more.
So I shared that link with my wife, and that's what's got us over the line. So it wasn't the not getting Alzheimer's. It wasn't the all-cause mortality.
Wasn't the benzene out of the blood?
Well, I think it was all those things, but it was also, you know what, it's actually going to be a helpful thing. COVID-19 wise, if you were ever going to, it was kind of like if you were ever going to do it, wouldn't you do it now if it has those benefits? So yeah, we're getting one has been designed, and it's going to be an outdoor one that tucks in behind my workout shed. So I'll be able to go out and lift and turn it on while I'm lifting, and then it'll be nice and hot by the time I'm finished. It's got a nice little window, looks out onto the garden.
Nice.
I am so excited about it. Yeah, so it's cool.
2-person, 2-seater?
2-person, 2-seater, yeah. So anyway.
Is it a infrared, or is it, I'm going to go into the details, is it infrared or finish?
No,
Has it got the rocks? Or
Yeah,
has it got the rocks? Yeah, nice. So much nicer.
Yeah, like yours. So that's less interesting to people than the fact that I'm getting one. I think I've sidetracked a bit. More interesting is you're 2 years in. How often have you done it, and what benefits have you noticed? Because not all the benefits are going to show up. Tell us all about it.
Yeah. So I sauna probably 4 to 5 times a week. Probably 4 times a week during summer and 5 to 6 times during winter, because it's sometimes in summer you do a workout and that was a sauna, so you don't need another 20 minutes. Because I'm a heavy sweater, there is a legitimate dehydration passing out risk.
Yeah, you could pass out and burn your face on the heater.
Yeah, and I sit on the hot side. So I sit on the hot side. My partner sits on the non-hot side. So my place would be face straight down into the coals.
And I've seen you faint. You got in like a sack of potatoes.
I do. I'm a proper fainter. But yeah, so 5-6 times a week, our routine is we'll get up, we'll work out, we'll roll, stretch, do a workout, whatever it is, run, lift, sprints, whatever we're doing that day. 20 minutes in the sauna. We do 22 because we do a some sort of sitcom on Netflix to take our mind off the pain.
What device do you do that on?
So in ours, we sit up high. It's quite it's 1.9 meters tall. So we sit elevated, so our heads are right near the roof, up near the heat.
Yeah.
And then we put the iPad down below the heater.
Okay.
So down on the floor near the door below the heater, it's only about 30 degrees. So it's just like warm day. Whereas up near your head, it's 80, 90, 100 degrees.
So what are you setting the sauna at?
We just turn it all the way up and let it heat up for about 45 minutes. Yeah. We don't have any digital connection to it. So we've just got an analog thermometer, which says it gets to about 90 degrees when we get in after about 45 minutes.
90
we
degrees.
do 22 minutes. Yeah, that's up near the top, so it's pretty tough.
Yeah.
But the sitcoms, so I watch like Brooklyn Nine-Nine or Rick and Morty, or we just had The Good Place is the new one.
How good is The Good Place? It's great. You enjoying it?
It's good. I like it. Yeah. Kristen is very good. But so we'll do that and then have a shower, and then you just feel like $1,000,000. There's just something about it. You feel warm, toasty, like energized, cleansed, fresh, ready to go. So there's that immediate effect where you just feel good for having done it. So you get a big surge of those feel-good hormones, serotonin and dopamine and endorphins and stuff like that.
And you're getting heat shock protein stimulation and stuff like that, which is doing you wonders of good for your immune system and stuff like that.
Yep. And so I barely get sick. And I'm pretty rare, touch wood, on sickness anyway, but I'm even less sick with that. And the thing I'm noticing recently is I don't train with incredible intensity or duration at the moment. I'm not like in the gym for 90 minutes at a time. If I was a core advantage athlete, I'd be kicking my ass because I'm not working hard enough. Yeah, I'm still lifting consistently. I'm still running consistently, doing my sprints, doing all the stuff I should, but I'm doing them in very minimal effective dose.
So you're like a 6.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm a consistent C+, B- type trainer at the moment.
Yeah.
But I'm still just as lean and my body composition is exactly where I'd want it. And I have not by any stretch earned the body composition I've got. But I reckon the difference is the saunas. So the heat shock proteins, the extra cardio effect you get in there, all that kind of stuff has just got me able to take my, boost my C+ to a B+ with just 20 minutes of sitting in a hot room.
That's such a good sell. We should share this with the sauna people. The idea, train less hard, get better results.
Yeah, and so like I'm not normally I'd be my camera's just stopped. Normally I'd be, if I was training this level, I'd be a little bit pudgy, a little bit meh, a little bit whatever. But I'm not saying I'm all beastly and things like that. No. But I'm definitely punching above the work that I've put in.
That's awesome. I hope that. I hope those results do not vary. That's exciting. And early on, you reported that your sleep was better. You felt like you were sleeping better. Has that changed?
Yeah, I still sleep pretty well.
That's still good.
I haven't had any examples where I've gone without sauning long enough to notice if my sleep gets worse due to the lack of sauning.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
So there's it's a hard study to run. It's not one I'm willing to do. I always slept well, and I'm still continuing to sleep well.
I have been using my Apple Watch with 2 different sleep apps for the last week because I want to get a really good body of data and see my before and after. So I'm really curious. The watch gives you a report the next day, and you see how many blocks of deep sleep versus how many times you were tossing and turning a lot. And it gives you a percentage of your time spent in deep sleep where your heart rate gets really low. Mine only gets to 49. I'm a bit disappointed. I feel like it should get lower. That'd be cooler.
Heart rate flex.
Yeah. But I will compare it with the sauntering, and it'll be science because I'm not going to change anything else, and we'll just see how that goes. Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
So sauna's brilliant and pretty good investment. So yeah,
hugely.
We've got someone from Body World St Kilda, Renners. Do you know who Renners is?
No, Dome. That's a comma in there. I think that's 2 different people. I think one of them is Body World St Kilda. See that tiny little comma in there? That is Body World. So that'll be.
I can't see the comma because I'm so old that my eyes don't do that without my glasses. It's like I'm doubling down on my old man right there. You can't use this technology because you can't see it.
Well, there you go. You just blame that all the time. If you just blame vision, that'll be... It's
be easy.
It's not your fault. It's just the aging process. It never happens to everyone. The one big thing I'll add to saunas before we
Yeah.
move on as well is you got to do 20 minutes.
Yeah.
There's all these fakers in there for 10 minutes in, 10 minutes out, stuff like that. You got to stay in for 20 minutes plus.
Those,
The good stuff only starts at 12 minutes.
I having been to, while I was getting all enthused about saunas, I went to a few gyms and to MSAC where they got a sauna. And it drove me crazy because everyone gets to about 11 minutes and they just start to feel uncomfortable. And they're like, oh, it's getting a bit hot. I'm out of here. I'm like, no.
Your core temperature's literally just moved up to the point where the good stuff happens. Where the heat shock proteins get triggered and the enzymes and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, it's got to be uncomfortable, unpleasant, and you've got to really want to leave. If you're in the sauna and you're not wanting to leave at minute 18, like you're doing it wrong. Like you've got to be uncomfortable. The best analogy I think for it is imagine someone who really wants to get strong and they come in and they do like a couple of reps, put the weight down, come back, go drink a coffee, come back, couple of reps. It's like you need to actually push. So you need to push into some resistance. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The benefit is the duration. So if you're not going for those 20 minutes plus, you're not getting the good stuff.
And I wouldn't be surprised too. Sorry to cut you off. I wouldn't be surprised if you've inadvertently hacking it a little bit because probably it's one of those things where minutes 18 through to 22 are probably disproportionately valuable. They're kind of like the money minutes. So it may well be that what you're getting out of it is that it's like the really valuable minutes. Even though you only take it from 20 to 22, you're doubling your super value. It's like you're doubling your money minutes, the ones that really count in terms of getting
exponential benefit.
Yeah,
big time.
That's a much quicker way of saying it.
All right, episode 81. Let's move on.
Okay.
How to get ripped for summer, the myth of spot reduction, bikini panic, and all those other summer training myths.
Oh, this is perfect because do you know who sent a message during the week? It was Trez asking about how to do rotational movements to get a ripped core.
Let's leave the rest alone. Let's just talk about spot reduction because that's still a thing that people do and try to make happen, and it's not a thing. It's a myth. It's
not a thing. So you can do all the twisty things in the world. That's not going to make everyone be able to see your obliques more. It might make them slightly bigger, but the layer of fat over the top of them is going to be the factor. So the idea is that if you work a certain area, that area will somehow draw fat just from that area and you'll get ripped there. It's made a lot of people a lot of money, but absolutely doesn't work at all. If you want to get ripped, if you're looking for the best exercise to get ripped abs, it's actually a squat or a core lift because that's going to have the highest metabolic demand.
Or sprints
or bike,
hard metabolic work,
or preparing really good food in the kitchen because abs are made in the kitchen, not the gym. So we just had a question again from Caitlin from Forest Hill. Would you rather be at Forest Hill College or at home? I think that's to you, Jacob.
That might be to me. Well, like I love coaching. I love being at my work, but I also have a brand new puppy. And I quite enjoy my house. So you can't really say would you rather because they're different modes, they're different times.
You love them both.
I love them both. I like my house because it's relaxing and it's where my food is and it's where my stuff is. I've got my gym and my sauna and TV and all that kind of fun stuff. But then I also love my job, so I love being in at Core Advantage. I love being at Forest Hill doing stuff and testing and training the athletes. And interesting question, Caitlin.
I'm missing our athletes. I can't wait for it. I'm hanging for what's going to happen on the May 11th announcement. We'll see where we're at with that. I'm really looking forward to it. Hit me with the next one.
82. Do you need protein shakes, the anabolic window, and all things protein? Should we just defer this to Dom's Nutrition for Athletes talk, where she talks in depth about nutrition? I think that's just where you want to go. It's on our website, coreadvantage.training, and you just go to the free resources, find the nutrition one, and away you go. If
you had to say one sentence on it, it would be, though they can be helpful, but they're a waste of time if you're not getting the big rocks of your nutrition correct. The fundamentals of healthy, good, natural foods with a good balance of fat, protein, and carbs. So they are a supplement, not a substitute.
And we wrote an article actually to go with that episode as well. So if you just Google search Core Advantage protein, we wrote an article breaking down, you have to be training, you have to be eating well, they are supplements, here's some good ones, et cetera, et cetera. So it's all there. Episode 83, we talked about supplements, magnesium, omega-3, and vitamin D. I'm taking magnesium most nights before bed. I'm taking omega-3 most days in the morning. I'm not taking vitamin D. What are you taking at the moment, Darren?
What am I doing? Taking collagen, like gelatin, which is
yes, I'm taking that too. Yep.
And a bit of vitamin C. Vitamin C has pretty good immune. That same Rhonda Patrick email prompted me to up my vitamin C a bit. It has good immune boosting effects. I think that's better. I dabble with the magnesium. I don't find it makes that big a difference for me, so not that much really. Yeah.
We're still big fans though. We sell magnesium in the gym. We're a big fan of it from a sleep and a recovery point of view. It's very good for your nervous system.
Yes, so I think some people respond more to it and some less, but I think it's all, if you're having cramping issues particularly, I think it's still super useful. So it's definitely a good thing to have in your repertoire. Yeah. Vitamin D, nice. Though. I knew there was a question floating around my head that I wanted to. The other thing about COVID-19 is the link is that vitamin D is looking to have a pretty strong protective effect. And they even wonder whether part of the reason why Australia has been so good with it, obviously being on an island is helpful, but it has also been that we do get a fair bit of vitamin D. So we get a fair bit of sunlight. It's one thing I've been really
that doesn't exactly explain Iceland's success though.
Well, that can be an outlier though. Like you can have. I mean, Iceland also has so few people that everyone's family tree, like everyone's related to everyone in Iceland. Like there's a whole bunch of other factors there. So I'm not saying it's the factor at all. I'm not even saying I think it's a major factor, but I think it's interesting enough that it's motivated me to try and make sure I'm getting enough sunlight. Because what is happening to all of us is that we're not getting nearly as much of that incidental out and about, unless we've got a puppy, out and about sunlight. Like I noticed for myself that I wasn't getting nearly as much as I used to. So I've just been making an effort. Like yesterday I took the desk outside. I have a camping table that I use and sit out in the garden and worked a bit just to try and get that vitamin D in. So it's not a supplement, but it is a vitamin. Cool.
Yeah. Nice. All right, 84, we talked all about acceleration with regards to sprinting.
I don't think anything's changed there. I think acceleration is really important. It's the quality that gets you to or away from an opponent. It's still a big deal. You should chase it with force and practice.
Yep. And in a lot of sports, it's probably more important than top speed running because you're not actually going to spend much time at top speed compared to you're going to spend a lot of work accelerating, decelerating, changing direction. So acceleration is in a lot of ways part of your agility training too.
Yeah.
Because agility, your evasion is also going to be reliant on your ability to pursue or get away from a pursuer.
Yeah, it's just sagittal plane agility.
Exactly. So we do a lot of that in the gym. We do a lot of technical work on it. It's very reliant on strength. Get strong, practice the technique. It's not the same as top speed running. There's differences. So you want to be working on that appropriately.
There is a difference though now when we talk about that is that we do more decel work now because
we do.
Because your acceleration, in terms of trying to create space on an opponent, often it's how hard you can slam the brakes on. So I remember seeing a great post a while ago by PS3 in America, talking about how James Harden had the best brakes in the business. So he could stop really suddenly, create space, get people off balance, go again.
Get his shot up. Yeah.
So I don't think your acceleration lives in a vacuum. I think more and more we're acutely aware that you've got to match that decel work also. And we didn't do as much decel because I was always sketchy about the fact that we didn't have a good surface to do it on. But now that we've got our turf, which is brilliant for it, we can do way more. I was always worried about a tile kind of slipping as you decelled. Whereas now we can do heaps of that. So that's been great. And the turf is so handy for that. I just love it. Yeah.
Yep. Cool. Beautiful. All right, 85, we talked about shared privation. the world is currently going through some shared privation. Darren, for those who didn't listen to that, what is shared privation?
Yeah, so shared privation is the concept at boot camps. It's one of the concepts that not fitness boot camps, but actual military boot camps are built around. And it's the idea that to bond a group of soldiers, you want to break them down as part of to make them into military people, and so break them down and rebuild them. But you want to bond them together by a shared painful experience. So that everyone will have in common that they went through that together. And so that's the essence of so many bonding exercises. It's some form of collective stress that you bond together. And we see it a lot at the moment where people are just often, when they're not fighting over toilet paper, which has thankfully come and gone, are often being a fair bit nicer because it's this thing we've all got in common. It's the cliche of we're all in this together. There's a bit of that. On a lighter level, there's going to be a whole bunch more of that too, coming up with some cardio stuff that we're gonna do a bit of shared privation. So we're just talking about that in a staff meeting today. I am super psyched about that side of things as well. So looking forward to leveraging that.
Beautiful. All right, 86 spin bikes. Hell yeah, they're amazing. We use ours all the time. I bet you wish you had a spin bike at home right now. Everyone else. I know I do.
Yeah, they're brilliant. We love them. Our friends at Iron Edge have just come out with a whole new range of spin bikes and cardio stuff, which we're going to be sharing some more. That I can announce that now because that's out and about. It's on their website. And they're really good. Spin bikes are brilliant. Low impact on your joints, high impact on your heart and lungs. I love them. I'm looking forward to having a crack at that 20 watt. Have you done the 20 watt challenge? The thing Jamie Smith is
not on
about?
our bike, no.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, I've never done it at all, actually. No. Don't know why I specified.
I started to have a go at it today, and Pat was telling me he said you get to 5 watts, and you're like, I got this. And then it just starts to kill you at about 10 watts.
Calories, mean?
Calories,
20 calories.
20 calories,
yeah.
not 20 watts. Yeah, my bad. Yeah. So we'll have a crack at that. That'll be a bit of fun. So nice. More news on that soon.
But there'll be prizes as well. So you'll be tough shared privation on the spin bike with prizes for the winners and the most improved.
Bragging rights. Yeah, it's going to be great.
Beautiful. All right, 87, we talked about squats. We talked about squat depth, squat width, sumo squats, high bar squats, goblet squats, front squats.
What date was
Zercher
that?
squats. We'd be looking at 2 years ago now, 18 months ago. So early 2019, late 2018, something like that.
Okay.
Maybe even earlier.
I think, without re-listening to the episode, I think probably if we were at that point, we were pushing further along the continuum towards. Yeah, at one end of the continuum is everyone must do this, and that's what some people like. Everyone has to back squat. Some people will say, and at the other end of the continuum is it's totally horses for courses. Just do what your feelings tell you. We are somewhere towards the line of not do what your feelings tell you. Obviously, that's just too far. But it'll suit some people brilliantly, and it'll be a great place where you've got a really high return on investment, and some people it won't. So you've got to pick your poison. So I think we've probably another 10 or 20% further along that continuum. I think we've settled with where we want to be on that now. I think if we were to, in another 2 years, talk about it, we'd probably be like, we've probably made a bigger change.
Yeah. It's not a compulsory exercise by any means. The squatting pattern is compulsory. Everyone needs to know how to do a squat in a body weight sense. But using that as your sole way of developing lower body strength, it's not the only way. And it's only one of many different exercises in that category. And so we don't have to squat. You don't have to do that as your main exercise, as your main lift.
Particularly when you're in a sport where you use one leg at a time for 98% of your sporting activity. So that it does mean you don't do it, but it's not compulsory. It's great. If it works for you, it's great because there are tremendous benefits. If it doesn't, that's also fine. It's just that caution about bashing a square peg through a round hole. Just trying to make that person who just should not be squatting do it because if we just get your mobility, you know what? Maybe those persons, their length of their levers makes it just ugly for them, and they shouldn't do it.
Yep. Yeah, nice. 88, we talked, or you and Tennille actually in this one talked about training the female athlete. Different differences when working with females compared to males. Psychological stuff, I imagine you talked about in there as well.
Yeah.
And the classics of ACL risk and different injury profiles based on physiology.
Yeah. Everything we said there, well, there's two things. The physiology of it is even more apparent now as we've seen the shocking rate, not shocking, shocking is the wrong word because shocking denotes surprising, the astronomically high rate of ACLs in women's AFL. So there's that. The thing that's probably changed though is that, which is so exciting, is that we've seen a real shift in how girls feel about lifting. 5 years ago, it was much harder to get girls to push hard in the gym and love having a bit of a flex. And there's a real empowerment thing going on, which is just as a father of a young daughter, it's just so exciting to see, where the girls are really, really owning their power in a way that maybe that they weren't as comfortable, that wasn't as socially acceptable 5 years ago. It's really nice to be at a point in history where you're seeing that shift. And I think we'll look back.
The pivot point?
It's a real pivot point, yeah. And the Me Too movement, I think, is a big part of that. And just, I think there's a generational change where people that grew up, like people our age, have grown up with the idea that women can do everything that men can do, like the idea that equality is not just a nice word, equal but different, that sort of stuff. I think it's just all starting to happen. So, yeah, it's super cool. But particularly in the gym, we're seeing girls who are responding more, to be more aggressive and getting after it, girls who are more comfortable standing out, not having to try to fit in all the time. It's just awesome. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. Big time. And sports like AFLW are just further highlighting that.
Yeah, which is just great.
More women on nationally televised sports, playing games in front of crowds, getting deals with Kellogg's and Nike and Rebel Sport and all that kind of fun stuff.
Yeah, it's just
good for the game, good for sport.
And inspiring young girls. My daughter has some AFL players that she thinks are really cool. Like, that's incredible. You can't be what you can't see. It's great.
Yep. So cool. All right, 89, how hard you should train. We talked about the fatigue signals effectively in your body. So rating of perceived exertion, the central governor, heart rate variability, all those kind of things about how hard you train in the acute, actually during the session, but also in the macro in terms of how many hard sessions you should be having per week from a neural fatigue point of view and that sort of stuff.
So I don't think a lot's changed there, except what has changed is we're coming into a scenario where managing that is going to be more important than ever, because we're going to have all these people coming off a base of nothing trying to ramp back up. And so it's very obvious that if you haven't run, or it's very obvious to most people, if you haven't run at a high intensity for 8 weeks, that you need to ramp that up because you're likely to tear a hammy or a calf or hurt an Achilles or something if you're applying unaccustomed load. I reckon probably what's less obvious is the same does apply for your nervous system. So we're going to have people who manage their musculoskeletal loading okay, but get caught out by just being exhausted because their nervous system's not used to it. So I think there's a whole bunch of issues there. And then what you're going to get is you're going to get fatigue-based neuromuscular uncoordination injuries where people they're actually biomechanically fine, but they just hurt themselves because they were just really tired. So I think monitoring, it's just, the people that put the work in now and the people that manage their reload well are going to get really big dividends. People that don't, some of them are going to get bitten on the arse.
Yeah. So to learn more about that, check out episode 89 is where we talked all about, and that's a bit like the nervous system and the neurotransmitters episode where that was just based on the sports science. That was just based on the research. That wasn't us thinking and brainstorming. That was actually just reciting research effectively in a fun and interesting way, but just talking about how the science looks on that stuff.
Entertainingly curated science.
All right, we've only got 10 minutes left on this live before Instagram's going to cut us off with our 60-minute limit. But we've got 10 episodes, so we might have to start a second one shortly. So episode 90, we talked about tennis.
Tennis.
Which, ties nicely into the idea of shoulders that
Hold
we
on,
started
just
this
a tick.
episode about.
Hold on, I've got. Are you guys done or still kicking on?
I just had a question for you.
I'll come back. We're mid podcast, but it's all good. That's all right. Don't worry. Sorry about that. Carry on.
You're back, yeah. So tennis ties. Just hit my camera. Tennis ties very nicely into the stuff we're talking about. Shoulders,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
thoracic extension, rotation, throwing power, all that kind of stuff is going to also influence your striking power and your hitting power when you're on the tennis court.
Tennis. I think at a junior level, not much has changed in terms of our perspective. But we've trained. We had a couple of senior and more elite players come through our gym, and struck up a friendship with a coach that works with a few of them as well. And what's been interesting to me is just how challenging it is for tennis players at the pointy end of the sport with their tournaments and their travel. It's just really, really harder than people realise for them to maintain good S&C because they're just constantly playing and travelling. So I probably have a lot more respect, not that it was disrespectful, but I have a lot more appreciation is the right word, for how hard those pros have to work to stay in top nick, because it is really challenging.
Yep.
Yeah. I think that's it.
Yeah, let's
Yep.
leave it there.
Yep.
That's spot on. Yeah. Episode number 91, we talked about performance testing for athletes. Athletic performance testing
It's
is
awesome.
a thing we do. We do it often.
There's so much to update on that one. I think I don't even want to talk about it now. It should be its own episode.
We should do an episode when we open the gym back up and we get back to actual test and we go, because we'll go pretty early into a combine, I imagine, once we've got a couple of weeks of training under our belt, going to a return combine. We should talk about testing during that week because it'll all be fresh and we'll be doing it in the gym regularly and stuff like that. So I think that'll be a great chance to
because
talk all testing.
There's so much more that we've done in that space over the last couple of years, and you've done particularly an amazing amount of work to push our testing forwards. And there's so much interesting stuff to dive into. That's definitely its own episode. Let's skip over that one.
You've written that down, have you?
I've written it down, and I've highlighted it. So
Well, it's in a box as well. Nice one, Durham. Excellent.
yeah, I've written it, boxed it, and highlighted it.
Nice. All right, 92. Bouncing back from injury, handling adversity, and building mental toughness is very topical with the way the world is right now.
Yeah, I don't think anything's changed. Go listen to that stuff. Those guys knew what they were talking about.
Episode 92 was that one. Very, very valuable stuff. If you're struggling to get into momentum and build up your training consistency during this interesting time in the world.
Yeah. Momentum. It's all about momentum.
Flywheels, big time. All right, episode 93, insights into the AFL, the AFLW, VFLW, from what was then, I'm not sure if she still is, but Collingwood Football Club Osteo Michelle Andrews, who was a former strength and conditioning coach with Core Advantage.
Yeah.
Is she still at Collingwood?
I think so. Yeah. Well, who knows at the moment? Like everything's,
Yeah. No one's with anyone.
And Michelle's got her own beautiful little gym. It's amazing. She's got the poor thing. Give her a follow. She's an amazing practitioner. So she's an osteo. She's an S&C coach. She's a wonderful operator. And she's opened up this brilliant gym in Kensington. So in the inner northwest, I suppose. I don't know. And it's awesome. But she opened it up literally like the grand opening was the Sunday, and then the Monday was everything's shut. It was the COVID lockdown. So it's just the poor thing, the most horrible timing. But yeah, it was a great episode. Worth a listen. She's a great operator. I'm really proud of her as one of our alumni, as one of our former interns and coaches going out on her own doing great stuff. And I know she'll be very successful once she can really get the shackles off. Yeah, she'll do great.
They've been doing some free stuff online too, so some free yoga classes and Pilates and things like that. So is it Motus Life?
Motus Life, yeah.
MOTUS Life.
Yeah. And they have a really well maintained, excellent cable crossover as well. Because she's bought one of them. If you liked our cable crossover and you happen to be over that side of town, you can't get to see us. They've got a lovely one there. Yeah.
It might look familiar.
Yeah.
But she's done some really cool stuff as an osteo and an S&C across the AFL spectrum, men's, women's,
she's done great
pros
stuff.
down to the semi-pros as well.
Yeah, she's done great. Okay.
All right, episode 94, we're on the home stretch here. Episode 94, we talked about fundamentals, why simple stuff is not the easy stuff and why they're not the same, but you need to make sure you're keeping up your simple stuff. And I think we should probably refer to the Michael Jordan example that you've brought up a few times, Durham.
Yeah, so the fundamentals are so much more important than the tricky things. So one of the eye-openers for players coming to Phil Jackson's Chicago Bulls was watching Scottie Pippen, arguably the second greatest player at that point in time in the NBA, practicing chest passes to Michael Jordan, arguably the greatest of all time, like practicing the fundamentals at the peak of their careers, still doing those basic things. So they're not exciting, but they are foundational, and you can't go wrong with putting more into it. We were chatting to a friend the other day, and she was just chatting about her partner who does fundamentals really well in training and gets tremendous results. And people would think it's just fancy stuff. No, it's like just do those fundamentals brutally well, just attack the main things and do them and repeat.
And the same applies in the gym. Yeah.
Yeah, just everywhere. Yeah.
Nice. Episode 95, we talked about training when injured. I think the takeaway there is that you should keep doing it. You should find ways to continue training other parts of your body. Yeah. Talk to your physio, talk to your osteo, whoever you're working with, get a plan that you can continue doing work, start your rehab. Because I think one big thing that we've learned since then is that and you want to do this in consultation with your health professional. So if you had a surgeon or a physio or whatever, do it in consultation with them. But most of the research I'm seeing is suggesting you want to be a little more aggressive in the early days of your rehab to get back to things to avoid atrophy. Because the biggest problem is post-injury is you let everything turn to jelly, and then it takes months to get the jelly back into muscle.
I couldn't agree more. I think, too, what's happened is probably since we recorded that podcast, there's been another turning of the ship, like another pivot point, and that has been the change from rest, ice, compression, elevation. Oh, you've rolled your ankle, deload it as much as possible. And where we're really getting to now is, you've rolled your ankle, load that sucker as soon as you can, apart from the ways that make it angry. Like people are being put into walking way earlier to pump more fluid out of the joint to get it working. So I think
keep the calves strong. Yeah,
I think there's a real paradigm shift of it's kind of like gone from it used to be rest as much as you can. Now it's like rest as little as you can get away with without making the problem worse. And that paradigm shift has been compounded. Sorry, just a message popped up there. That shift has been compounded, I think, by the understanding that inflammation is a desirable trait. I think it's
actually part of the healing process.
It's part of the healing. It's part of the adaptation process. Yeah, which seems ridiculous that it's 2020 and we're working that stuff out, but we have been. So yeah, cool.
Yeah, nice. Now we've got 44 seconds left here. Should we end and start again, or should we just let people go to the podcast for the rest of the stuff?
Go to the podcast. I reckon that's enough. I think people have had enough. You guys.
All right, we'll just let this. This is just going to run out, and then if you want the last 5, you're going to have to go onto the podcast. Cool.
Yeah, and maybe we'll catch up those when we do the next in a year's time when we do another retrospective. We don't have to line it up exactly. It's good for my OCD not to line things up exactly.
All right, episode 96. The future of AFLW, ACL injuries, and the effect of professionalism on junior sport and junior athletes.
Oh, it's such a big one. I think what we said then stands. I think things have panned out how we thought they were. Oop.
Hang on, I've lost Durham.
And we're back. I'm getting so slick at that.
Nice. That was a big one, 96.
Yeah.
The future of AFLW, we're talking about ACLs, all that kind of stuff. I think it all stands. I don't think we made too many bold predictions in that one, did we?
Just lots of ACLs. We're worried about concussions and broken necks.
Yep.
The broken necks thing hasn't been as bad as we were worried about. So.
Still some concussions though.
Yeah.
Still a few of those concussions floating around. So, yeah. That was 96. 97. Strength and conditioning for throwers. Shot put, discus, javelin, hammer, track-based throwers.
Everything we said stands. All I would say is, if you're all we've seen is in what we've seen with our throwers. We saw amazing early results, like our people, where we unlocked some asymmetries, built some basic strength. We saw people throwing PBs left, right, and centre, setting state records. I think national championships. Like our throwers have just been crushing it. All we've seen since then is that it's actually, I thought it was going to be a situation of kind of like a law of diminishing returns, where you unlock the problems, you gave them some basic strength, and then it'd still do well, but the graph would flatten out. Kind of don't feel like it's been like that. I feel like it just keeps on, it's like compound interest. It's just paying off for them again and again and again. So I could not...
Continuing to develop ahead of the curve, yeah.
Yeah, and I think the big element of it is our approach of unlocking and undoing dysfunction, not just throwing big heavy weights on their backs, but it's like, okay, let's get everything functionally nicely and then dial up the strength without inducing any compensatory patterns. So I think, and that's just our approach, that's how we like to do things, but I think it's probably met its soulmate in throwers because it just...
Throwers and swimmers too.
Throwers and swimmers, it just works great, yeah.
Nice. Episode 98, we talked, what we did was we did a whole bunch of analytics on our very first combine, and we looked at what made good athletes good versus bad athletes bad. And the conclusion was stronger athletes were faster, more agile, and could jump higher. And that was about it.
And that's still good. And we'll talk about that more when we do the performance testing. I think we can dive into our stuff on that, fold that into there.
And we're looking at doing more analytics in that space as well. So we'll have more population-based stuff for those people who like to nerd out on that stuff. Yeah. Episode 99 was one of my favourite ones, actually. I remember it well. We talked about how we'd fix the biggest loser.
Oh, yeah.
And the clashing between drama versus non-drama and all that kind of stuff.
It's interesting. There's a few things I would change now with that.
Go on.
Well, I just think that, we make things for other people that are to our taste. We're detail-oriented people we care more than anything about getting the best possible result. Like, I don't care if it's not that fun, I want to get the result. I'd rather just always get the best possible outcome. And I think probably I underappreciate that for some people, they're like, I can't even think of the analogy, but they thrive more off a bit of what it's wrapped up in, a bit more of the spice. So I think probably my biggest loser would still have the same fundamentals, but I would work harder to inject a bit more safe drama and safe shared privation. I think 2020 Durham is more understanding of the amazing spectrum of different personalities, what pushes different people's buttons, and knowing that the button pushing is as important as the metabolic stimulation.
The trigger, the thing that gets them motivated.
Yeah, you get them motivated, and then everything else is just downhill skiing.
Nice.
But I think I underappreciate that then.
But still within a lens of keeping people healthy.
Yeah, within a framework of intelligent
really
training.
Important.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Also, the other thing is I would exploit Netflix-based bike cardio a lot more. I love the ability to just watch a really good action movie while I'm on the bike because the time just goes like that, and I would do that more.
Nice. That's it.
Now
we're done. First 99 episodes. Episode 100 was the review of the first 50. So I don't think we need to review the review. Otherwise, we're getting a little bit meta, and we don't need that. And
no one wants to hear that. Whoever's stuck with us thus far, you guys are troopers. You're our true fans. Appreciate you sticking around. I don't want to stretch out that favour any further. So we'll touch. So we'll probably do when we get to episode 200. Do you reckon we'll do another retrospective?
Yeah, we're doing them every 50. So we're doing the 50 from 50 ago every 50.
Gotcha. Okay. So
at episode 200 or 200-ish, we'll do from 101 to 150.
Nice. Okay, good. In the meantime, guys, have a great training week. Have a great week in general. These are difficult times, but I think we're seeing the other side of it. Things are going to get easier and easier. And remember, we are T-minus 3 weeks and counting from your potential call-up for return to sport. So be ready.
Theoretical round 1 in 21 days.
Yeah, get after it. Cool. All right, we'll see you guys next week. All right, see you, Jacob.
Bye.
And before you go, hear from some of our alumni about our career transforming course, the online mentorship. Learn more about how you can join at our website.
I learnt the theory stuff at uni, but I didn't know how to apply it, and coming to Core Advantage was how I bridged that gap. So I knew the stuff, but I didn't know how to do the stuff.
It was something that I needed to do personally for my own development, and it's allowed me to work in elite sport for now 5 years, so it was a massive help.
I think mentorship is really important, and being able to ask questions all the time, and the Core Advantage course allows that because there is a big team of people that you can ask questions.
I get to train professional athletes every week, work really closely with professional athletes, which is awesome. A lot of the skills that I'm applying I learned through the program at Core Advantage.
It's not just something that you read and then think about and then go, oh, how does that tie into everything? It's something that practical that you can turn around and go, this is exactly how I'm going to apply it. And the concepts that you learn help you as a coach, as a professional, as a person. Yeah, it's awesome. Definitely go and do it.
To sign up for the online mentorship, head to coreadvantage.training/mentorship.